What looked like a nice revenge game for the Sharks to extend a winning streak comes to a crashing halt. The Sharks lose in overtime, 3-2. The Florida Panthers will break that down and more right now. This is Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is March 15th, 2022. Joe Thornton returns to the Shark Tank, and his team is victorious. 3-2, the Panthers beat the Sharks. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame. We do this after every game, so if you want to be part of the show, chat with us and fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app, and follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Smash that subscribe button on YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and find everything at tealtownusa.com. Pleased to be joined by Ian Reed. Ian, bud, how are you this evening?
I am okay. I mean, it is what it is. We'll get into it.
Yeah, one of those tough ones, and just fell out a lot of energy in my mind. So let's get into it. Of course, the return for Joe Thornton here. Nice little ovation and video tribute to the 12,000 plus that were at the Shark Tank this evening. Sharks had won 2 in a row coming into tonight. John Leonard called up and was playing on the hurdle line. Reimer returns as Hill goes out as the injured goaltender carousel continues. But I thought the Sharks looked good early in the first. They generate some chances. They got that power play goal from Logan Couture after Gudas took a holding call, and I thought Couture just banging it in for this 20th. I thought, okay, these guys are showing some toughness again against the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, I thought the Sharks played a good first period. I thought, overall, I thought they played as good as a period as they've probably played all season. Florida's a good team that's kind of had a little bit of trouble in their last couple of games. So, I mean, it was nice to see the Sharks kind of jump out and take the early advantage. And again, I thought they played really well. I thought they played a decent 40 minutes. It was the last 20 where everything kind of went off the rails.
Yeah, they definitely, I thought, took care. Yeah, you're right. Those first 2 periods, I definitely thought they really put it to the Panthers early on the first, especially after letting Huberdeau getting that sweet shot on shorthanded goal. But, my goodness, that was a nice one that I think froze Reimer to make it 1-1. But then you had Milosh with that nice shot from the point to make it 2-1. That was nice. But then they got into all kinds of penalty troubles, and I think both teams didn't like the officiating, especially in the middle period this evening.
Yeah, I mean, the Couture goal, that was a good play. I think the second goal, the Milosh goal, I think Spencer Knight would probably want that one back. The Huberdeau goal, that's a tricky one. Like, Huberdeau's so good, right? Like, obviously, man, he's getting a lot of heart talk and stuff like that right now. And the thing with him is, you have to respect the pass, and he looked pass all the way and then kind of, made it look like he was looked shot last second, and kind of like you said, he just kind of froze Reimer there. Reimer doesn't get froze like that very often, because he doesn't really overly commit to any. Reimer's goaltending's interesting because he's never overly committed to. It's hard to make this make sense, but he's not overly committed to a save. I think if you watch a guy like Reimer's success comes because he doesn't usually doesn't have to react until he gives himself a lot of time to react to a shot, and then he's not once he reacts, he's looking for the next shot pretty much immediately, where some kind of goalies, they kind of just get set in their stance and then they just don't move after, right? To get Reimer to not move at all is a feat. And I think and it was a hell of a shot too. Don't get me wrong, completely a hell of a shot, but definitely something you don't see happen to James Reimer too often, where he just gets frozen like that.
No, and I mean, man, it's gonna be tough to name an MVP this year. And you have him, you have Austin Matthews, you can go Shesterkin, you can go Markstrom in Calgary. I mean,
I mean, goalie wise, I feel like what Shesterkin's done is just beyond. Like, I think Markstrom, you could make a case for Markstrom for the Vezina. I don't know about the Hart so much, but Shesterkin, when you look at like his numbers and what he's done this year, like it's hard to get nominated for the Hart as a goalie, because obviously they're like, no, you got the Vezina, right? Like, goalies don't get the Hart love that they probably should get in some cases, but I feel like if you were ever going to make a case for a goalie to get the Hart, like, Shesterkin's season definitely is definitely worthy, in my opinion.
yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to have. I mean, I'm glad I don't have a vote in this, because that's a tough one to take. So 2-1 after one. Like we said, then the parade to the penalty box for both teams. The Gadjevich takes a hit, then takes a couple cross checks from Hornquist. Hornquist turtles, and Gadjevich gets the only call.
Right? Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean that's the risk you take when you dress. When you put guys like that in the lineup, because, like, I think Gadjevich has maybe a goal this year. Like, we know what he's out there to do, right? So, and obviously every once in a while now, it seems like, Bob Bugner flips a coin and says, who's going to play? Is it going to be Jeff Vial or you? And so I think he's trying to do the things that keep him in the lineup. And unfortunately, he just couldn't find a willing participant tonight.
Yeah. And Hornquist, Adamon got a penalty. Fortunately for the Sharks, nothing comes up of it. Marchman and Malash get into it. They roughed up. It's like the linesmen were really quick to break these fights up a little bit. And then, Bennett takes a holding call. I think there was the puck over glass by Uyghur that set up a 5-on-3 briefly. That, Sharks got some chances, I thought. I mean, granted, the power play gets one tonight, so they extend their streak to 3 games with a power play goal. Which, good on them. If you saw the Sharks Plus pregame, they entered tonight 10 of 40 since the All-Star break. Tonight they go 1 for 5, so 11 for 45 since the All-Star break. I mean, that's not too bad, but when it's 5-on-3, that's one where it kind of stings a bit when you have that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to give credit to Spencer Knight. I thought after the Malash goal, which was awful, he was pretty much dialed in for the rest of the game. Like, it wasn't like the Sharks had a lack of opportunity in the second period to either to extend the lead, and Spencer Knight was up to the task.
Yeah. And he looked phenomenal. And I thought that originally they were going to have Bobrovsky start this. So I was surprised to see Knight in, but of course Bobrovsky, I guess, took a puck to the mouth the other night when the Kings played the Panthers. I guess out of precaution they started Spencer Knight, and geez, what a nice backup to have in Spencer Knight.
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Knight's definitely, I think, is going to be one of, like, he's in that next wave of goalies coming up. Like, he's in the same, like, I would put him in the, he's that kind of that next wave of goalies with, like, the Shesterkins and the Sorokins, and you know what I mean? Like, and I put Spencer Knight very much in that category as guys that you're going to watch going forward.
Young goalie guild growing as the years come by, and they look really, really sharp, for sure. Let's see, Huberdeau and Barabanov. Huberdeau was suggesting that Barabanov elbowed him Huberdeau throws a punch at him, and then things get testy. I guess the tough part about the ESPN broadcasts, and I don't know if you had the ESPN feed or not, they don't always show the replay of everything.
Yeah,
and that was tough. So we apologize if we didn't get all the right angles for the GIFs on our Teal Town USA Twitter on the night. But yeah, we're assuming that Barabanov got called the roughing for elbowing Huberdeau, who had a little bit of a welt underneath his eye. Uyghur was pissed off about something at the end of the period that led to a late power play, and Hurdle looked snake bitten again.
yeah.
He looked up to the skies like, why me? But he had a couple of assists on this evening on the 2 goals, so I'm good on him for at least. Tough part, Couture. While he got the goal, he got the power play goal. He was a -2 on the night.
Yeah, and the 1 goal was a result of just like a lazy turnover by him, like just a lazy backhand to clear the zone, like wasn't even looking where he put the puck, and then of course, like not a good look for Couture at all.
Yeah, and Vetrano bangs it home to tie the game. I think Vlasic kind of blocked Reimer's sight a little bit there to tie it up for the 2-2 goal. But then Florida just absolutely dominated the third.
Yeah, I mean, see, here's the frustrating part about this, right? Is obviously look at like Florida. This is a team that's first in their division. They're going to the playoffs, so they're with a bullet. Like they're not. They're so in the playoffs, like, and they're a really good team, and it really showed in the third period. But the problem is if you're looking at this from a Sharks perspective, this is a Florida Panthers team that played last night, and then had to leave, fly into San Jose, and then play another game tonight. Did they play last night?
No. They played Sunday night.
Oh yeah, they played Sunday. Monday. I thought it was last night, but even still, right? Like, I don't know. Like, there's no good excuse. You're right. Yeah, it was 2 nights ago because it was after
the Kings did have back to back.
Yeah. Now I remember. Because I remember I was like, wait, but I wasn't around last night. So how did I watch this with the guys? But okay, so yeah, so strike that out. I'm dumb. But even still, okay, so they didn't play last night. But like, again, they're on the road. They're playing out of their time zone.
10:30 starts, yeah.
Yeah, like they're playing out of their time zone, 10:30 start, and they just blew the doors off the Sharks in the third period. And the Sharks had no answer.
No.
Like, the Sharks get lucky on a goaltender interference call.
Yeah.
Right? That, I mean, I was surprised like, at first I was like, oh no, that's definitely goalie interference. And then when you watch the replay and you see like the puck's already through Reimer, it's like, oh, maybe not. And then they got, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That one's one of those iffy goaltender interference calls. That could have gone really either way.
Yeah. I mean, but they got lucky, right?
Yeah.
But they couldn't
fortunate.
capitalize on it. Like, they couldn't take any momentum. Like, they got the doors blown off them. And like, I don't understand why the defensemen are so passive. Like, it's like, if you're not named Erik Karlsson, like, the only thing you're allowed to do is dump and chase.
Which is scary to think because, and yes, Karlsson is very talented and gifted to get the puck into the zone. But yeah, I mean, this is you're giving your opponent easy predictions on what you're going to do.
Yeah,
and you can't do that.
So I mean, I think it's frustrating to watch, and after being able to play as well as you did for 2 periods, to just have Florida completely turn on like that and have no answer. And look, and it just shows that, this is the separation of the teams, right? Like when Florida really turned it on and said, okay, we're done screwing around, the Sharks couldn't hang. Now, is that they couldn't hang because, X's and O's? Was one team just clearly in a different league at that point,
Right.
you could make those arguments for sure, right? And I think it's a combination of a lot of things. But I mean, I don't understand how. I don't know. I don't understand how this coaching staff continues to get a pass, and I don't understand why the people who allow this coaching staff to not get a pass, and and it goes up the ladder.
Right. It's to the point where this pattern happens again and again. How many times have we seen the Sharks just kind of fall off apart? They're either tied and then let it slip away after 2 periods, or in the case of just Florida, where the Sharks had a lead and lose it in overtime. The Sharks are 17-0-2, and those 2 overtime losses are both to the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe Bob Bugner thinks he can overtime loss his way into the playoffs. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even think that's even possible anymore.
I think this team cannot make the playoffs. But they keep talking about it, so I get to make fun of them.
No, but you bring up a good point, though, Ian, in the question regarding to playoffs, because this team says they are not rebuilding.
Wow,
which means
can say everything they want.
True, but I mean, at the same time, though, it's like, so if you're not rebuilding, then you're trying to make the playoffs. You're trying to go for the Stanley Cup, right? I mean,
that should be 32 teams goal, but yeah,
true. I completely agree, but so if you don't, and looking at the standings right now, you are at 60 points and currently sit 8 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah. Which doesn't seem like a lot, but then you have to consider like how many teams you have to leapfrog to get in. It's like it's not just making up those 8 points. You have to you have to leapfrog a bunch of other teams, and that's where it becomes impossible, right? Like 8 points. 8 points is nothing. You can get 8 points in a run, but you need other teams to lose. But in the Sharks' case, you need a lot of other teams to lose, and that's where the problem comes in, right?
Right. I mean, I'm looking at, let's see. So the second wild card is barely hanging on by a thread, Vegas at 68, but they've played 62.
Mess they are.
Holy crap. And especially after, I know we don't do a reach round anymore, but my God, I mean, after what happened tonight in Winnipeg, how does PDB still have a job?
Well, because he has no goalie.
So when does McCrimmon call Joe Will and ask about Reimer?
Well, I mean, they're gonna have to do something. Like if again, like that team's a mess, and but I don't know what you can do, like, because of the way that they have, and I don't want to get too deep dive on the Golden Knights here, but
true.
The way that they have just kind of gone and acquired every shiny new toy that comes available, and cap be damned, like, this is the end result of that. So it's going to be interesting to see how they dig out of it. I look at everyone that's watching knows that I'm not a Peter DeBoer guy at all, but I don't know what Peter DeBoer is supposed to do when you mismanage the cap as badly as the Golden Knights have. I mean, yeah, they've got like I said, they got all the shiny toys. Every time a shiny toy comes up, they seem to be the ones to get it. But, that has repercussions, and I don't know how much of this I would put on Peter DeBoer.
I mean, you're already over the cap. We've seen in years past, before a cap happens, where teams try to buy everybody. The Rangers come to mind in the early 2000s.
Oh, the Rangers and the Red Wings used to spend what teams, like in the 90s, the Rangers and Red Wings spent what teams are spending now.
Right.
And it's not like they were spending this much before there was a salary cap, right?
And it worked for one team, and the other team didn't make the
playoffs.
Not
so much. The other team, again, right? And you have to have the right players. And I think for a lot of the guys, like other than in '94 when the Rangers won, '94, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, though, I mean, the Rangers was kind of, it was like that's where you went to pack it in and just make a lot of money on the rest of your career, right?
Yeah. Gosh. I mean, I can't imagine. Granted, I'm going to be, you know, breaking out the chair and putting my legs up when if Vegas doesn't get in, how that fan base just melts down and everything. Um,
Well, I mean, I look at I look at I, again.
Again, we shouldn't go on to
I don't want to
Vegas.
get. I know, but like with good reason. With good reason, because that team was set to be.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I think we have lost. I think I might have lost Ian. I might have lost Ian mid rant. Oh, that sucks. That sucks big time. Uh, I'm hoping we're still on the air right now. If somebody can let me know, be greatly appreciated. Uh, yeah, Ian froze. Okay, so it's not me. Let me try and get Ian on here again and see what happened here. Sorry, folks, just making sure he's okay. Let's get him back in. It's my fault. No, it's not my fault. I'm still talking. If it was both of us, you know. So let's see. Let's see if we can get Ian back on. So, but kind of getting back on that Vegas, and Ian isn't online. All right, so he's lost. So we'll just sit tight. You're just gonna see the Skype sign for a little bit here. Um, Ian lost his internet, so fun. All right, so let's quickly go over some of the stats for tonight. As Ian is lost his internet, so you're on your own with yours truly tonight here. 31 saves for James Reimer in his return, and that's nice to see and everything. Um, but it's in a loss. You hope he's recovered from whatever injury he did have a couple weeks ago after his 13 straight games, and then you went back between Stalock, Sawchenko, and Hill, and that one. Eric Carlson a -3, and I know there's been some comments in the chat about things, so you know it's tough to see when you're -3. But again, I don't think. I'm not an Eric Carlson defender per se. I think he's a great defenseman. But you know, -3 stands out. And playing 27-10 on the night is interesting. For Brent Burns, 26-16, had one shot on goal. Tough to see him how he worked that out on this night. So we'll do that. Ian has lost it. Sheng saying just said Joe Thornton just passed us by to enter the Sharks locker room area. So obviously, if you haven't seen a lot of it tonight, and let's see if I can pull up some of the stuff from earlier tonight or earlier today. You know, we saw a lot of Jumbo hanging out, saying hello to everyone. Heck, you know, our friend Ruben, who works at the Shark Tank, got a text from Jumbo saying, you know, miss you, bud. You know, that's the great part of it all. So let me come to you, friends of the show. Looks like Ian might be getting back on in just a sec. So, but Hot Wheels 84 Reedy looked real good tonight. He looked all right. I thought he had some chances. He was definitely working on his tipping drills this evening. So, or this morning at the morning skate. Wasn't sure to, only got 849 in. I wish he would have gotten more. Gadjevich at 525. So Ian is feverishly texting saying, "Okay, half power, waiting to see if the internet follows. So don't worry, folks. We're hoping to get Ian back in just a jiffy." If you are new here, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button down below and everything. Um, you know, looking at the rest of the comments in here because AJ is not here. You know, comments about Benito playing the play wrong. What did you think of John Leonard tonight? Okay for 11:45 time on ice, and didn't get any shots off. He looked a little hit or miss, especially to get on the second or first line, depending on where you want to stack Hurdle. Faulty synapse. I'm serious about Twitter polls deciding lineup choices and player deployment. We could do better than Bob. Yeah. Felix 12,000 for Jumbo's return is a little sad. Yeah. And it didn't even look like 12,000 when they were playing the video. It's tough. It's tough. I think tickets were starting at $30 a piece. People know that this team needs to retool, and for for an organization that's saying they are not rebuilding, some questions are going to have to be answered soon, and answered soon very, very quickly. Now, in regards to what's going to go down in the next few days, your trade deadline is 5 days away. So what's going to happen for guys like Jacob Middleton, who, according to Pierre LeBrun on TSN, the Sharks are asking for a second-round pick, another pick, and a prospect. Toronto, Boston, or Tampa Bay are interested in Middleton. I mean, what can you do? That's going to be an interesting call. We've heard Hockey Jerk saying, announce the Barabanov signing already. Okay. I mean, I would love for it to happen, but here's the question. If there's something out there for him, or I think there's been little inklings about Cogliano, heck, maybe even Bonino. And of course, we all know about the contract talks with Tomas Hurdle. At this point, you got to look at it right now. Sharks are currently 8 points out. Yes, they have games in hand. Somehow everybody not just caught up to the Sharks, but now have overtaken them in games played. My question is, really, where are you at? Yes. So like Fanatical Teal Bleeder says, so can the Sharks embarrass LA for a third straight? I would love for that to happen. That would be a huge blow to them right now. Granted, they're at 74 points, so they got some very minute cushion there at 74 points in second in the Pacific. It'd be interesting to see if they can pull it off a third time. If they can, that'd be great. And it looks like Ian is back on. Let's get him back in before we get everybody out of here. Ian, bud, how are you? You okay?
That's what I get. It's my Vegas talk.
Yes.
Everyone's like, oh, fuck, Ian's going to talk about the Golden Knights again? Well, how do we fix this? And it's like, okay, well, first internet, then power. Then power comes back on, but no internet.
Gotcha.
Then internet just doesn't come back up. Finally came back up. So here we are.
Cool. Well, I vamped for about a good 5-10 minutes about where this team is, especially with Jake Middleton. Now we're getting more rumblings about him going to the East.
For sure.
What do you think of the price for Middleton?
It was like a second and a player and a player or prospect.
Yeah, but the second, a player prospect or another pick.
Great if you can get it.
Is that more realistic than maybe getting a first for Hurdle? If
you don't get a first for Hurdle, you should be fired. Like a second and a prospect for Middleton is some Barclay Goodrowian fleecing, right?
Right.
Like it's just one of those things where like if you can get like I don't think they get that for Jacob Middleton, but if you can get that back, that's a nice return for Jacob Middleton.
Yeah. Okay, PJ, I didn't say they were gone. I'm saying if you have to look really deep into what you're doing as your 8 points out of a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
But Puck, I said trade Hurdle, Meyer, Burns, Barabon. I did not say all of that. Thank you very much, PJ. Whatever.
Way to go off on you, eh?
You know.
Yeah, no, I think if you can get that kind of a return for Jacob Middleton, I mean, all the power to you. And look at Jake Middleton is a guy who's really, really impressed me this year, right?
Fantastic job.
Fantastic. Yeah, he's been definitely way more good than bad this year, and definitely kind of just a guy who I honestly thought was just, at the end of the line as far as he went. Like I thought, this is a guy who I've really liked. I've always had a strong feeling about Jake Middleton on the Barracuda, but it was getting to the point where it's like, again, he's not old, but he's not young either, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you can get that kind of price for Jacob Middleton, that's fantastic. As far as Barabanov goes, if you can re-sign him, great. But I think if someone calls and blows your socks off with a deal, you have to consider it. If especially like we don't know what the plan is, right? Like I would re-sign him. I don't know if I'd re-sign him at what he wants. I've said on the show before that I'd probably, a little less money, a little less term, because I think there's a lot of guys that kind of explode onto the scene at his age, get paid, and then fizzle out.
And he's definitely earned a raise, especially this season.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, should he come back next year at league minimum? No. Right. But do I think he should get 4x4 or 5x4? No. Like the term kind of scares me, and the dollar amount scares me a little bit.
That seems. I mean, wouldn't you have learned from what you signed Shimmick for? I mean,
different player, but yeah, I mean, different situation, but yeah.
True, but at the same.
Well, I like the Shimmick thing is like, oh God, the guys.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get you upset.
The defenseman, no, it's just like the defenseman graveyard of guys who were a flash in the pan, good with Brent Burns, get paid and then can't play with Brent Burns anymore.
We've seen it with,
for whatever reason,
for Paul Martin, Joachim Ryan. Redeem Shimmick. But Middleton, I mean, heck, they put Middleton on the second power play unit.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're showcasing guys, right? You want to, like, I think we talked about this last show. I talked about this with Landy, right? Like everyone has like their ghost roster, right?
Right.
Most teams know what they're targeting. Like they're not gonna watch a game right now and be like, oh shit, I didn't realize that guy was a thing. Go get him right now. Like that's not how it works. But, if you can kind of get onto a hot streak and you can try and maybe increase the price a little bit if a guy looks really good near the end. But chances are like most teams have already identified the guys that they're going to go after.
Right.
It's not like nothing that happens this week is going to be like, oh shit, go get that guy right now. You know what I mean?
True.
So
I just think it's going to be a really interesting deadline, or it's going to be an absolute dud.
I don't know. A lot of people are saying it's going to be a buyer's market. I don't think. I disagree. But is a lot going to get done? I don't know. It's hard because there's a lot of teams that are hard against the cap, right? A lot of teams that don't really have the room. I mean, there's a couple teams that are going to be able to do stuff because of their injury situations. Colorado, I think, is fascinating. They made a trade today that moved Tyson Jost over to Minnesota for Nico Sturm, which was a really good trade because I think that Colorado probably got the better player in the trade and cap space. Like, I think Tyson Jost will be fine Tyson Jost should do pretty good in Minnesota, I think, but I really like that trade for the Colorado Avalanche. And not only that, but now they have, with the Landeskog injury situation, they are going to have money in order to, I think, make a big thing. Like, I think, there's obviously a lot of talk about like hurdle with teams like the Rangers and stuff, but I think, man, if I'm looking at Colorado, I think they have a nice, like, a hurdle would fit really nice there too. Do you want him in the conference still? Probably not, but it's not in the division, so I don't think, and again, at this point, like the Sharks, it shouldn't matter, because who cares if you trade someone in the division? It's not like you're competing anyway. If you're trading Tomas Hertl, you're not competing anytime soon anyway. So who cares if he's in the division? It's not like that's going to be the thing that stops you from getting over the line into the playoffs. The Sharks have to get to the playoffs in order for that to bite them, right? Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that do they still believe that they are one streak away?
Well, yeah, but
right?
Things they say and things they believe. I don't. I think they say, again. Remember, we've talked about this before.
Right.
I feel like this is one of those things where, in order to, if Bob Boughner comes out tomorrow and says, well, the season's over, then how does he hold any players accountable if he's already thrown the towel in on the season? Right? Like, that's
fair point. Yeah.
Like, that's just the reality of it. Now, do I think that, is any playoff talk with this team delusional? Of course it's fucking delusional. We've gone over this. We've talked about the 8 points, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, 8 points, but 8 points in 6 teams you have to jump over.
Right. I don't know how Colorado's going to do anything, though. They don't have their first, second, fourth rounders in this year's draft. First, second, fourth, and they don't have their second and fourth in 2023. So,
yeah, I mean, they're going to have to dig into their. I think in a team like from Colorado, then you have to dig into their thing, or you get a really, really good prospect. Like Colorado, I think, has a couple of really good prospects that you would probably, that would kind of make up for that maybe. And again, yeah, so the first doesn't have to be this year's, again, because that even if you get the first this year, it's not a lottery first,
right?
You're not drafting Shane Wright with it.
Wouldn't you want that 2023 first, if anything?
For sure.
Because
why wouldn't you?
Because 2023 is supposed to be a little bit stronger than this year's draft. Am I correct?
Yeah. So I mean, they could. I don't think if you took their first in 2023, that's not a bad get.
Mm-mm. And maybe you package up 2 firsts to move up in the draft. Who knows? I don't know.
Who knows? I mean,
wishful thinking for Bedard. That's all.
For sure. But you're not getting up that high on a how many firsts you have.
Yeah, that's true. Unless you're the Arizona Coyotes, who have like a bajillion picks in the draft, the first 2 rounds. So, all righty then. So St. Patrick's Day, Sharks and Kings. Can they take down LA again for a 3rd straight time?
Why not?
Why not?
I mean, that they've seemed to have the Kings number this year. I don't know. I mean, it sucks. I'm going to watch that one, but I mean, if I'm the Sharks, I feel pretty good going into that game. I mean, look at anytime you can beat LA is a good game.
Definitely.
Like again, team tank, whatever, but like I'm never going to get mad at a win over a team like the Kings or a team like the Ducks, right? Or Vegas or whatever. Like, I will take wins over those teams. I don't care how it affects, the draft rankings. I'll take wins over those teams every day.
Yeah. Burns on the tribute video. It was great. You could have had Steven Spielberg do a 2.5-hour movie with him, and no one would have gotten bored. Oh man. That's a good one. Thank you, Laurel, for that. All right. So with that, we shall get out of here. Sharks lose this one in overtime, 3-2 to the Florida Panthers. The Sharks play on St. Patrick's Day. It'll be Sharks and Kings. I believe that's an ESPN Plus game, so we'll see on that. Like I said, we did a Sharks Plus pregame show. Kind of wanted to ask you guys if you do like those, in lieu with no Brody or Brownie, because of ESPN. And I'm trying to see if we can pull up the survey, but it looks like it's gone away. That's terrific. Yay. So thank you all very much for joining us. In case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. Of course, smash that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, and always available at tealtownusa.com. So, Ian, your final thoughts.
Final thoughts are this: we're trying to start this thing, right? Like we've abolished the reach around. The reach around should have died a long time ago. It's dead now.
Sorry, Laurel.
In its place, yeah, sorry, Laurel. In its place, what we would like to do is because I thought, we always get some days we get like some pretty good responses in the YouTube comments. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to respond to the YouTube comments. Now, of course, the show we announce this happens, no comments. That's fine. Look, I want to stress this. I cannot stress this enough. We're not going to do this. This isn't going to be a thing where, we're just going to dunk on people. It's not about dunking on people. Unless you want me to dunk, put in the comment, you want to get dunked on, we'll dunk on you. Fine. But I just think, because there's sometimes there's some really good comments in the YouTube comments. And I think it would be just a good thing to kind of drive that interaction more if we can discuss those things on air. So if you have something that you think that we might have missed, or something that you think that we should talk about, throw it in the YouTube comment, and we will definitely respond to it the next show. And I don't know, if we can get this going, I think it would be really cool. I think it would be much better to listen to, instead of oh, here's the scores. And if you're listening on your iPod, it's okay, this is when I turn it off, and no one has iPods anymore. Everyone just listens on the phone. Who am I? That's just my age showing, right? But I feel like it's I think it would add more value to the podcast and make it more it's not a point where you're on your phone and I can look at these scores. I'm just going to turn the podcast off now. So again, throw your comments. Please feel free to throw your comments. If you have any other questions, queries, comments that you would like to throw at any of us directly, I am at Ian Blogs Hockey on the Twitter machine. And I generally, I'm a chill dude, man. I will talk to just about anyone on Twitter. So if you have some thoughts you want to direct my way, that's how to do it. And 99.9% of the times I will respond.
Absolutely. And I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. I will take responses every day on the Twitter machine, especially after work, of course. I will say this. There is one comment from the Pucknologist, and that's from I'm the beat plug _831. As much as we want our team to be not to be mediocre and aim for a top 10 pick, man, beating LA never gets old.
No, exactly. I'm never going to get mad at a win over the Kings, Ducks, Golden Knights, Stars, just any of those teams, man. No, I'll take them every time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we'll be back with you on Thursday night following Sharks and Kings. That's a 7:30 start, I believe, on ESPN Plus. And then the next night, they play at home against Colorado. Will they have a new player by then? Another new player, I should say, besides Josh Manson and Nico Sturm. That's going to be an interesting one. So, hit that subscribe button down below. Hit us up on tealtownusa.com. Of course, the fun never stops. I'm sure AJ's already talking on the Discord right now. So until Thursday night, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. And until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you Thursday night.